What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. The Raptors are in the news again. It seems like the Raptors have been in all sorts of rumors and signing all sorts of players this offseason. And it was announced that Reggie Perry and Freddie Gillespie are cut from the roster. And just a few hours later, it was announced that the Raptors have signed Alexandre Antetokounmpo. And yes, that is Giannis's brother. And that deal was announced about 3 weeks ago, but they signed him to another Exhibit 10 contract, as well as Josh Hall. Now, I do want to ask you guys a little fun trivia thing. I want to do this thing where I want to ask you guys, how tall is Josh Hall? Without looking it up, I want you guys to guess. Is he 6'3", 6'6", 6'9", or 6 feet? And you guys guessed it. If you said C, he is listed at 6'9", and it is. I'm showing you this because, I mean, if you're a Raptors fan, you should know we keep signing all these 6'8", 6'9" guys, and Josh Hall fits in right with that. So he becomes another one of those players that we sign. And I'll talk a little bit about Josh Hall's statistics. I'm going to break down his game. I'm going to give you a player comparison. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Alexandre Antetokounmpo. And I also do want to talk about what the Raptors are doing. They're secretly doing that is very special. So before we get into the details of this video, guys, you know the drill. Give this video a thumbs up. It does help reach more basketball fans like yourself. If you want to hit the subscribe button, that'd be amazing. I also do give out shout outs to random subscribers. So for today's video, the shout out goes to Little TM Gamer. So thank you so much for your support of this channel, through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, before we start talking about Josh Hall, it's very important to talk about what an Exhibit 10 contract is. So a lot of people, including myself, were a little confused as to what that deal actually means. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing. I'll let you guys do that. But just to quickly summarize for you guys, Exhibit 10 essentially allows teams to convert these players to a two-way contract. Now, we know NBA teams are allowed a maximum of 2 players into two-way contracts, and the Raptors already have Justin Champagnie and David Johnson under two-way contracts. So unless the Raptors cut one of those players, which I don't see happening, it is very likely that Alexandre Antetokounmpo and Josh Hall will likely be heading to the Raptors 905. And with that being said, let's talk a little bit about Josh Hall's statistics. Now, when you take a look at his statistics, he played with the Oklahoma City Thunder last season. In about 16 minutes, his stats weren't eye-popping. When you take a look at his stats, 4.1 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and it just gets uglier as you go down the list. 30.3% field goal percentage, but that's also because he was only taking about 4.5 shots per game. I talked about this in my last video when I was talking about some of the guys who may be cut. It makes a big difference when you're only taking 3 or 4 shots a game. Had he made one more shot last season, his field goal percentage would have jumped 20+%. So I think, I'm not saying he's a great shooter, don't get me wrong, but I do think it's a small size sample, right? And again, 3-point percentage as well is terrible, 10.8%. But I do want to touch a little bit on Josh Hall's age. And as I talked about earlier, guys, the Raptors sign another 6'9" guy. And the reason I'm showing you this is I want you to keep your eye on the weight where it says 190 pounds, because I want to talk a little bit about Josh Hall. And he actually reminds me a lot of a player in particular. He reminds me a lot of Delano Banton. Now, I'm not saying his style of play is similar to Delano Banton, but when you watch some of Josh's highlights, you see some of the things he's able to do. He's listed at 6'9", same height as Delano Banton as well. Now, it's funny because when you watch Josh play with the Oklahoma City Thunder, his summer league stats and how he was playing, he actually is very aggressive and strong when he attacks the basket. The struggles that Delano Banton has is when he attacks the basket, of course, we know his strength is really lacking. He's not able to exactly be very physical with opposing defenders, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for Delano to attack the basket and be aggressive at the same time, because that strength is clearly lacking. But that is not the case with Josh Hall, which, I'm not going to lie, a little bit surprised me. I want to go back on the screen. As I mentioned, guys, 190 pounds is actually 10 pounds lighter than Delano Banton. I would have thought Josh Hall weighs a lot more, but in terms of similarities between their game is that amazing length and the ability to ball handle. Now, I showed you Josh Hall's statistics. As I mentioned, guys, there's so much more to the NBA and NBA players than just statistics. It doesn't necessarily reflect his game. In terms of what Josh Hall is able to do is, much like Delano Banton, he's able to handle the ball. I wouldn't say he can get steals like Delano Banton, but in terms of offense, he really attacks the basket, and he's much stronger than Delano Banton. He's really able to absorb contact and really be physical with defenders when he does attack the basket. Now, of course, his shot is a little bit off when he does shoot it. His shooting form looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's just one of those cases of him being a young player, still learning the tools and how to figure out how he's going to work in the NBA, but he definitely is able to handle the ball. He attacks the basket really strong. He's also, I feel like he's a little bit underrated in passing. He does some of the things you see with Svi Mihailuk. I'm not comparing their games, but when Josh Hall attacks the basket, he does some similar things, as in he blows past his defenders because of his speed and his size, and he's able to go up and attack the basket and go up for those layups. But when he usually blows past defenders, the other defenders come to help, and he usually tries to find someone in the paint, but he struggles much like Delano, and with a lot of players, he kind of tends to force the ball a little bit too much. He either dribbles the ball off or gets the ball taken away by defenders, or he forces passes and turns it over, bad passes. So he has bad turnovers, but in terms of length and size and ball handling skills, he's right up there with Delano Banton. It is a work in progress, so I really do like some of the things I see with Josh Hall. I'm really impressed, and I also do want to talk about Alexandre Antetokounmpo as well. Of course, as you guys know, I talked a lot about him in my video I dropped about 3-4 weeks ago, but just to kind of briefly touch on him again, so Alexandre Antetokounmpo is very likely to be heading to the Raptors 905 as well. Again, he's one of those 6'8 guys. I don't even need to tell you guys. He's wingspan, again, 6'8", 6'9", 7-foot wingspan. He's also 20 years old, 214 pounds. And look, Giannis has spoken really highly of his youngest brother, Alexandre Antetokounmpo, but that could also be because he's maybe advertising to get him in the NBA. But when you take a look at Alexandre Antetokounmpo's highlights, there's not very many highlights of him. But in terms of what he's able to do, he's very much similar to how Giannis attacks the basket. But dare I say, he may be one of the best players, at least the Giannis brothers, who's able to shoot that three-point ball. We'll have to see how it translates, obviously, to the G League and eventually at the NBA if he does make it. But he does seem like he has a good shooting form. He can definitely hit those threes as well. And, of course, his length definitely makes a big difference when he's attacking the basket, much like Josh Hall and, of course, much like his brother as well. So it's really fun to watch the Raptors and what they're doing this entire offseason. Now, I do want to touch a little bit on some other guys as well, because when you talk about Delano Banton heading to the Raptors 905, it fits in very well because we know the Raptors really like to push their players, in particular the last few guys that are making the roster, and it seems like they're pushing this to the Raptors 905 as well. They're really pushing some of these guys like Reggie Perry, who has NBA experience, and he's going to really help some of those guys down here. I'm not saying he's a veteran presence, but he is also young and in developing himself, and it's not going to be one of those cases where Delano Banton is playing against 6-foot point guards and he can just bully them. There's going to be a lot of guys like 6'8", 6'9" that are great defenders, very versatile. They can all seem like they handle the ball, so it'll be fun for the Raptors 905 as well. It seems like they really want to develop some of these guys. And I also do want to talk about the fact that all of these guys are 21, 22 or under, so we're essentially getting a lot of undrafted players, and we know the Raptors developmental system is absolutely fabulous when it comes to developing players. So essentially we sign a lot of these young players that went undrafted. Obviously Delano Banton's our second round pick, but in terms of other guys we're taking into our Raptors 905, it's very interesting because you're going to have these guys in our system for some time. They're very raw, talented players, and we get to work with them. And we have several years to develop them. So it'll be fun to see these guys go in the Raptors 905. It'll be really fun to see the Raptors 905 head coach Patrick Mutombo work really well with these guys. And I'm really excited to see the Raptors' future. Obviously, we know this trend that's been going on with the Raptors this entire offseason of signing these young guys with length. So I'm really excited about the Raptors season. And I'm also really pumped up to see the Raptors 905 as well. I think they're going to do really well. And of course, you have guys like David Johnson down there as well, so we can't forget about him. So it'll be a fun Raptors season. And like I mentioned, all of these guys are young, they're hungry, they're going to feed off of each other, and they're all mostly very good defenders. So it's going to be fun to watch the Raptors, the young guys, kind of go at it at the G League, go at each other, and really develop and push these guys to be a lot better. So it's going to be a fun season for the Raptors G League, as well as of course, the Raptors, Toronto Raptors as well. And to end this video off, I do want to do a fun news segment I'm starting on this channel. So I do want to do a little trivia thing at the end of each video. So for today's trivia, my very first quiz, I want to ask you guys, this Raptors player led the league in free throw percentage. Was it A, DeMar DeRozan, B, Chris Bosh, C, Jose Calderon, or was it D, Kyle Lowry? So I will give you the answer in the next video. I want to hear your answers. I want to see what you guys, if you guys can predict, if you guys have been Raptors fans for a while, and you should know this. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I've promised you guys bonus clips, so I will be presenting Yuta Watanabe's birthday celebration. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have yourselves a very nice day.